Joining me today is Dr. Wayne Lesperance, Professor of Political Science at New England College. So Wayne, we talked about the polls and how we were surprised. And the next segment I want to talk about sort of the cabinets. But I want to talk about foreign policy. The rest of the world probably also followed our pollsters, our pundits, and missed it. The rest of the world woke up and said, holy mackerel, this is somebody that we really have done a little bit of work on, but not a lot of work on. What are we hearing out there, and what are the issues that we really, we want to pay attention to what's going to happen? What should we be paying attention to?
Well, first I'd say that probably the most important role that a president has is that of commander-in-chief. So America's role in the world is a very important one, and Donald Trump will now be the face that goes with that role. What are we hearing? I thought it was interesting that the first telegram of congratulations that the president-elect got was from Vladimir Putin, asking for an opportunity to sit down and chat with him before he's inaugurated. That is either a great opportunity or that ought to be terrifying. I'm not sure which yet.
Well, is this like only Nixon could go to China?
Could be. It could be that these two guys will understand each other in a way that would be very tough for Barack Obama to understand Vladimir Putin, just because of the differences of backgrounds. I think Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are two guys that respect strength a whole lot, and they place a premium on that. They want to embody that. We'll see if that's really what's happening, or this could be, if Trump's true to his word when he talks about NATO and America's role in NATO, when he talks about in complimentary ways about Vladimir Putin, a guy that has used military force in a way that hasn't been in our interest. I think that the Europeans in general are looking at our election and wondering, what does this mean for things like our special relationship with the English? What does it mean for the future of NATO? And then when you pivot to Asia,
before we get there, if he takes that meeting with Putin, if we see a meeting in November or December with Putin, right? Probably in the U.S., but if he goes to Russia, even more. What are our allies in Europe going to do?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that taking the meeting is the end of the world for them. I think,
but it's
certainly a red flag.
They'll view it as a signaling.
Right. And so I think the reason why this becomes so important is that the actions of the American president has implications for politics in all of our European ally countries. There are elections going to be happening in places like France, where you have a very conservative candidate named Le Pen, whose family has a history of flirting with fascism and racism and anti-immigrant stances, and she is rising in the polls. What we saw begin with Brexit, we're now seeing sort of spread. Angela Merkel in Germany is facing a very serious challenge from more conservative voices in her own government. So if it looks to the folks in Europe like this is where people are going, right, that can have an impact on their own elections. That puts our allies in Germany and France and other places in a tougher position. So when the old joke is that when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. We usually think about that in terms of economics, but it's just as true politically. It's just as true strategically.
Yeah, well, I think Brexit might be, though, the patient one in this, patient zero.
It may be. I mean, the headlines in England after the election day were America's Brexit. And they're right. We've done something. We've seen something here that really broke form. For weeks before the election, Washington was reassuring our allies, he's not going to win. It's going to be okay. Hillary's going to win. Well, not so much.
So let's pivot to the South China Sea.
Well, so let's talk about trade for a second. This TPP agreement that the Asians really want, that American credibility is, he has said it's not going to happen. So I can't imagine he would back off on that.
And I can't imagine it could happen between now and January 19th.
I think President Obama is certainly going to try, but you've got a Republican Congress that's going to basically say no.
Well, and you have a number of Democrats who don't. I mean, Bernie Sanders is not going to vote for that.
A lot of progressives who are going to say no to that. We're in a kind of a new space where you have this really weird connection between Donald Trump and some progressives on some issues where there's an alignment. And so to the extent that the Republican Congress follows along, he's not a free trader, and Republican Congress has traditionally been a free trade Congress. Let's see how that plays out. There's a lot of moving parts right now, and it has great big implications.
All right, well, we're out of time in this segment, but we return. We're going to continue focusing on Washington and look at the cabinet. So please stay with us.